Hi guys, welcome all. I'm Keshav Shastri. So 4 days for IFT is left. Today we'll be looking at the IFT exam pattern. What is the preparation strategy? What are the nuances? How it is different from CAT? How we need to separately prepare for VA or GK section? I'll put up a timestamp. If you want to jump directly to a particular section, you can go there. So let's begin. The essence of clearing any MBA exam is practicing by way of marks. We give previous year IFT, XAT, SNAP papers in the actual exam format. You can take these tests for free and get detailed analysis. To give you a brief outlook on IFT, IFT is one of the old institute, guys. In fact, it started around 1960s along with IIM Ahmedabad or Calcutta. It is a very coveted university in India. So what is this IFT, Indian Institute of Foreign Trade? The word trade might seem very obscure to us. I want to do finance. What is this? In fact, trade doesn't represent the crude sense of trade we know. Trade, it is more leaning towards, you can say, economics or globalization, global strategy, how we can deal with exports and imports. To give you an example, every country wants to maximize their exports. Every country wants to manufacture more indigenously and export goods and services. So this is a research institute which has an expertise at that. Apart from that, IFT offers MBA in international business. They call it as MBA IB. So traditional MBAs, you have courses like finance, business strategy. Here you will study courses like international finance, international business strategy. So the entire curriculum is more skewed towards international studies. So you have more global opportunities. All in all, the entire MBA is skewed more towards trade studies or how we manage exports and imports. Coming to the exam parameters, some facts about the IFT exam. See, last year there were 55,000 exam takers. This year it has relatively reduced to 40,000. So you have relatively less competitors. Last year they called 2,100 candidates for interview, and among them they selected 420 seats for Delhi and Kolkata campus. Kakinada campus is not yet operational. In about 2 to 3 years they are claiming that it might go operational. So all in all, if you see, you have 1:5 conversion ratio. For Delhi campus there are 220 seats. So this would be about 1:10 convert to call ratio. So it is a pretty heavy competition. You have 3 rounds there. You have first round is WAT, written admission test, then you have GD, then you have PI. So they call about 10 candidates and select one candidate among them. Coming to IFT exam pattern, IFT exam pattern is very unconventional. They have never standardized the test. They have a differential marking system. You have 0.75 mark weightage, 0.5 mark, 0.17 -5 mark weightage. So it is differential, and every year it keeps changing. It is not fixed. In fact, once there was 140 questions, 120 questions. Last 2 years it has been fairly normal. Last 2 years this was the pattern. So you can expect, even in fact today morning IFT released an official mark, and they showed a similar pattern, and the order of the sections are also the same. First was RC, then VA. So we can expect this could be the pattern. RC and VA have 36 questions overall. In CAT it was 34. Even though the questions are similar, the kind of questions and the difficulty is totally different. You'll have to attempt at least one set in RC. It would be 3 or 4 question set, and about 5 to 6 questions to clear the sectional cutoff. Coming to Quant has 20 questions, while in CAT there was 32 questions. This is only 1/5 of the overall weightage. So relatively the weightage on Quant is less, and you'll have to do some 4.5 is the cutoff. So say you attempt 5 questions in about 10 minutes and get with 100% accuracy, then you will through the cutoff. Data interpretation and logical reasoning form the largest chunk. They form the 40 questions, that is about 35 marks. But again, they have differential marking here. Data interpretation is 0.75 mark weightage per question, while logical reasoning is 1 mark weightage. In fact, 2 years ago the trend was different. Data interpretation has 1 mark weightage and logical reasoning was 0.75. Since last 2 years this is the pattern. So we can expect that in the exam pattern might be different. So we got to be prepared for that. Again, the cutoff for them is 5.5, 3.5. So approximately you can expect to do 2 sets in each. And general awareness is a unique section of IFT, but the overall cutoff is fairly less, just about 3 questions. If you have some predisposed general knowledge, then that would be easy to sail through. Otherwise, you need to make some additional preparation for static GK and in terms of current affairs. So the overall cutoff for IFT is 35.5, 35, 36 last year, but the year before that the overall cutoff was about 48, 49. So again, that year the IFT was fairly easy. This year it is, last year it was difficult. Expecting that the difficulty will be the same level, so we are saying it will be about 34, 36 or similar level. Coming to individual sections of IFT, it is very different from CAT. In fact, the verbal ability section, you need some sort of additional preparation for this. You have word meaning questions or word origin. That is, the origin of word is from Greek, Latin or French or German. You need to know those words. Or you have punctuation based questions. You have anagram based questions. This came as a surprise. You have only the similarities. Parajumbles are similar to CAT. You have idioms and phrases, noun phrase, adverb phrase. So you need some sort of additional preparation. If you are an avid reader, then this wouldn't be a big challenge for you. Otherwise, you need to make some preparation. Say you list all the common phrasal verbs or noun phrase. What is a noun phrase? What is an adverb phrase? What is an adjective phrase? You also list all the common French, Latin, Greek, German, Italian, Spanish words. You remember the meanings of them. Apart from that, what are the common punctuation rules? There is always a question on punctuation. What is the punctuation rules, so that you can get that right? And most importantly, there are sentence correction questions. Which part of the sentence is wrong or grammatically incorrect? For this, I would recommend you to take mocks. If you take mocks, you will get some feel for it. Which part is right? What would be accurate? What would be not wrong? So you put in some additional preparation in the aspect of verbal ability. Coming to RCs are usually long form. They have about 800 words. In CAT, you have RCs that are like say 400 to 500 words. Sometimes it is 550, but we are usually accustomed to this pattern. But even though it is long form, the questions are usually direct. They are not very inferential like as in CAT. But here the reading speed is critical. One important issue that students faces, you will read the entire RC, but you will miss some word. There will be some word, critical word. So note down that word, because the questions usually revolve around certain specific words. So if you note down, you need not hassle where did I read that word. So you can reread and answer the questions and move on fast. If your speed is good, usually you can answer up to 3 RCs. In 20 minutes, you can answer 3 RCs. If your speed is average, you can at least attempt 2 RCs easily, because the RCs usually have 3 or 4 questions. Coming to DI is highly computational. Even though they are pretty easy, the idea is pretty straightforward. They are not highly logically intensive like CAT, but they are time consuming. You'll have to assess the entire data, make sense of it, and then get the right answer. They're usually bar chart or line graph based questions. But quant, some questions are advanced based topics, some are computational, but there are many low hanging fruits. So I would suggest you need to be very choosy when it comes to quant. You go on, because this is a speed test. This is not about more attempts. So you pick the right questions so that you get through the sectionals and also maximize your overall score. Logical reasoning is again not very unconventional like CAT. CAT usually has unconventional puzzles, difficult to comprehend. These puzzles are pretty straightforward, you can say. They also have individual based questions. It's a mixed bag. So you have questions of 3 to 4 question sets, or you also have individual based questions. The individual based usually will be on syllogism, magic squares or patterns. If you take a few marks, you get a feel of what kind of questions are there. They're usually answerable. The most important part of IFT is judiciously distributing your time across all the sectionals. You need to clear individual sectional cutoff as well as overall cutoff to get a call from IFT. So the strategy I would propose is spend the initial 1.5 hours so that you are sure that you are through the sectional cutoff. Then the remaining 30 to 40 minutes you can try to maximize your score on your strong section. Or if you feel a certain section was easier or quant was very tough, then whichever section was easier, the last 20, 30, 40 minutes you try to target them. And one rule of thumb I would suggest is 30-60 second thumb rule. Let's say you pick up a quant question, you're not able to solve it in 30 seconds, you move on. You're very choosy about question. Or you pick up a DI set or LR set, again if the idea doesn't strike in 60 seconds, you move on. Or same cases for RC. You need to be very choosy, because IFT is a speed test case. It is not about attempts. Here accuracy matters more, and you need to be very choosy about the questions you select. We have prepared a benchmark distribution of 120 minutes, whatever is ideal. So reading comprehension, the cutoff is 3. So if you do one set with 100% accuracy, that is not very ideal. So we would recommend you do 2 or 3 sets in 20 minutes based on your reading speed. If you are a very fast reader, you can do 3 or at least 2 sets you can attempt. English grammar, I would suggest that you attempt everything, because the marks per minute is very high. You have 20 marks and each of the questions is pretty fast, not very verbose. One line questions, synonyms, antonyms, so you can do them pretty fast. You attempt everything, not answer everything, attempt each question. And coming to data interpretation is again computational, but you need to attempt 2 sets, because the overall cutoff is 3.5 and individual question stands for 0.75 marks. So you got to attempt 2 sets. So in 2 sets you can easily do in 20 minutes. Coming to quant and LR, these are the 2 sections you need to target. If you have made some preparation for CAT, then LR especially will be much easier. These questions have high marks per minute, so you can target these towards the end, last 20-30 minutes. Once you are clear with the sectional of all the sections, then you can target these to maximize your score. And general knowledge, you either know it or you don't. So thumb rule, 10 minutes, you don't spend more than that for general knowledge. So essentially the summary is, initial 1.5 hours you spend on clearing all the sectionals, then you target the section you are either strong in or you feel was easy, and you try to maximize your score. Never spend too much time on one question. That is like catastrophic when it comes to IFT. So this is the IFT preparation strategy. We already discussed that one major factor is distributing time across sectionals, and to get a feel of how verbal ability section is, which is different from CAT, you need to take at least 3 to 4 mocks and prepare exclusively for GK and VA. If you are not very strong in GK, then I would recommend preparing for GK. This is a section we did not discuss. Let's discuss it now. Coming to GK strategy, there are 2 parts. One is current affairs and other is static GK. To get better at current affairs, summarize all the past happenings of the past 4-5 months. That would be good enough. They wouldn't usually go beyond that. About 4-5 months, if you summarize the major events globally, nationally, business wise, economic wise, that would be good enough. Static GK, these are the very common questions that are asked. Books and authors, or who are the ambassadors, what was the sports awards, governors and CMs. We will try to make a static GK sort of library, a video on that, so that you see a video and you are prepared for static GK. So these are the questions, most likely type of questions. If you are someone who reads regularly, then overall cutoff is just about 1 or 1.5. That is about 2 or 3 questions, right? You'll know a few current affair events and you'll be through. Otherwise, you need to build some current affairs or static GK. We'll try to make a video on that. Lastly, the common mistakes that students commit and that you need to avoid is losing track of time. It often happens, even in CAT we do it, especially if you get stuck in an LR, you are slowed down. Then the strategy that I would recommend is, let's say RC or LR slowed you down, then you immediately hover to quant section, you do 1 or 2 questions that will pick up, you build up your momentum, and then you do other sectionals. And another thing is missing out on sectionals. We focus on few sections and then we do not meet sectional cutoff even though our overall score is high. This is a story, every year this happens. So first 1.5 hours, make sure you spend on all sectionals and you clear the sectionals, then you maximize your score. And also giving IFT with CAT experience. I know you all want to take rest after CAT. It was in fact so much of emotional ride and this sort of frustrating, but you got to give at least 3 to 4 mocks. 3 to 4 marks is critical if you want to give a serious attempt at IFT. So the essence of key takeaways is judicial time distribution, maximizing your score in LR, quant or DI. Especially LR or quant, they have high return on investment, say marks per minute, and we have also prepared for it relatively in CAT. And make dedicated preparation for verbal and GK. We'll try to put up a video for GK. When it comes to verbal, take mocks, try to build a library of things that will be useful. And lastly, on the day of exam, IFT can pull some surprises. They have not standardized the exam pattern. So when you go to the exam, read the instructions carefully. How many sections are there? What is the distribution? What is the weightage of each section? So you can strategize accordingly. So you should be ready for any surprise changes in the exam pattern. And lastly, take at least about 3 marks. That will be good to go. You'll be prepared for IFT. So good luck guys. We'll see you soon.